Friday the 13th, or should I say Friday the 13th. Welcome to another edition of X-Feed. What's up? My name is Schiller. I'm talking about crypto, and more specifically today, the words of "this is just the beginning." The way to play it is, if you ever see anybody bring that up, avoid it. Avoid it. Now, I'm partially joking with that, but we're having a whole bunch of posts come up that explains it. And I think what's interesting too, when we look at, somebody's flying outside the window here, that the market, the people, the idea has changed from the early days of thinking, hey, this is just a new medium. People are going to do things digitally too. Wow. This is going to consume everything from AI to crypto to interest to being online. Let's get into it. And we are live over on Abstract if you're wanting to tune in on that front. The reason I don't invest in non-technical founders, says Beanie, anymore is that they get hustled by devs. They simply don't understand what it takes and end up overpaying for everything. Typically, they don't have the ability to onboard truly passionate devs either. Devs are a unique breed. Now, this is a conversation where we can look at a couple different things. Where, number one, totally right that devs are a unique breed in terms of the world's their oyster, in terms of if like you're solid at the job, how many people are wanting to do something on chain. Yesterday, if you missed the stream, we went over a Coinbase report for Q2 of 2025, and the numbers were like borderline exponential growth on everything. And a lot of the Fortune 500 companies are wanting to do something on chain. So that means the job is high in demand. Now, there was a clip that I saw a while ago between the Facebook founder, Mark Zuckerberg, and I want to say like the CEO of Google. I forget what his name is, so apologies, but they were talking and they both made a reference that I want to say 20 to 40% of their code was written by AI. So even on these upper echelons, we're having some devs that lead stuff, but you know, mostly it's done by AI. So the quality ones, they are going to get scooped up pretty fast. And agree with the overpaying. We've seen it religiously across the space over the past few years of people overpaying for things, treasuries getting completely dumped, and just a whole lot of problems in general. Luca on the NASCAR partnership with Pudgy Penguins. Here's what he had to say.
You know, NASCAR is interesting. It's actually strategic. Like Pudgy's in Walmart. Walmart's middle America. NASCAR's middle America, right? Like it might not.
I have to give an early red card here for the speakers. I played League with people when they don't have headphones, and you can see, like, you can hear everything back in the speaker, and I feel like Moose has that. Moose is also the person that says, like, I love my penguin, and my penguin is me. If you remember that famous meme within the Web3 space.
Sometimes you see these collaborations, they don't make too much sense, right? Guys just, like, love doing everything with, like, all these different teams or stadiums or whatever. That doesn't make any sense, right? But, like, NASCAR, whole audience there is Walmart buyers. Pudgy's in Walmart. Boom. Let's just bring more Pudgy to the NASCAR audience, to the races, you know, merge the two worlds together to the best of our ability, and hopefully just speak to more net new users and people who love the Penguin.
It's funny listening to him talk about that. It sort of feels like that video game when you're like trying to put together a team, and like the system or whatever within the video game says, yeah, this team would like work together, or like, no, this person or this team is too far within like this skill set and you need to even out that. Is the way that I interpret that. But something you guys probably forgot about, because I did too, is that there is supposed to be a Pudgy Penguin NFT ETF. So is that what sparks an alt season? And by alt season, I mean in particular like an NFT season, because it usually takes something. And if you think back to when Bored Ape Yacht Club went to what the hell was it, like 130 ETH, which is absolutely insane to think about, but a large majority of the maybe I shouldn't say large majority, because I don't know if that's like statistically accurate, but it feels like there was a trickle effect of, you know, if somebody sold a single ape, well, okay, all of a sudden they have 100+ ETH to go into anything within the NFT space, because we've seen, generally speaking, once people are in that space and a buyer of these ecosystems, they usually just community hop from one to another. And that's not to say it's a bad thing, but there was definitely like a trickle down effect of why a bunch of collections got a whole bunch of capital injected to them randomly. So is this something where that could be that same situation, but instead in 2025 or potentially even beyond? The other day, I made a comment about how there was a graph where it was just like an exponential tick upwards regarding tokenized real estate. And right here, God love, look at this. Boom! There's that chart. So global tokenized real estate value is expected to hit $4 trillion by 2035. And you can see on these charts, right? When you get a little bit later, it just absolutely full sense. Now, I've done some podcasts with Ray, and I do follow him, but X does a stupid thing where it shows that I don't follow them. But again, great insights, rwa.world, if you're wanting to learn a little bit more from Ray. But just showing, again, tokenized goods, absolutely flying. Do want to give a shout out as well. If you've been listening to the RWA Segments podcast, the episode last week was with Fede Baum, who is out in San Francisco. So we start recording, right? And all these things we do on video, like the podcast itself is audio. So he jumps on and he's all cheery. Listen, good guy, good Italian guy. Absolutely love him. And he's like, so Comcast is in front of my building right now. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that's cool. And then the feed like just completely cuts out. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, is he coming back? Like, is going on a phone? Do I like email and say like we could record it later? Like, okay, Comcast was in front of your house. Clearly, something ended up happening. So I'm sitting there for like 5 minutes, fire off an email, being like, "Yo, if you need to record a different day, no problemo. Let me know." And then he joins, and he's on like this rooftop in downtown San Francisco, looking over at the bridge. And I was like, "Damn, great!" So if you listen to the show and you hear any birds or noise in the background, that's what it's from. But again, he's tokenizing undeveloped lands. If you want to look up RWA segments on any of the podcasting platforms or in the YouTube description down below, you'll see that link for that. So what we said off the top of the show, any NFT collection immediately after posting, this is just the beginning. You want some proof of how many people use the exact same verbiage. David B. hosted the first ever Ape Chain Hackathon in Africa. This is just the beginning. We got Ab building band cool on MiniPay. Has been an exciting experience, especially seeing the impact on our traction. Before MiniPay, we had a few hundred daily users. Now we have thousands, some days tens of thousands. This is just the beginning. Binance, VIP, insights, connections, and unforgettable moments, all in one place. Here's a look back at the first Binance VIP retreat. This is just the beginning. Genoxy, we're under development. Behind the scenes, our team has been making moves to ensure you feel confident regarding minting from us. Ownership should matter. Your ownership should matter. This is just the beginning. C-Swap, we built something beautiful. Now the momentum is building around us. Grateful for a community that believed in us from the start. This is just the beginning. Kathy Wood, talking about Bitcoin. This is just the beginning. Now, okay, listen, this last one, all right, listen, I'll give you a free pass on the last one. We can go with it. But it is hilarious that the verbiage used on all of these, industries, protocols, whatever it be, are virtually the same. And I think it's funny. Now, again, obviously, you're just going to like go in that with saying like, hey, we're kind of trying to hype things up. Totally get it. But Steve K. Bark here, look at this. So they're at an airport and there was a wheelchair that was automated. So when we talk about AI having a lot of things to do with like online gigs, well, what about in person? You don't need to have that individual going around moving people. You can just send the electronic cart to do your bidding for you. Crazy. So look at this. We now have the New York Post talking about how to buy Pepe coin. Now, I've never been very big into the whole meme coin space and all of that. I think some of them are, interesting to follow, and the people that have success stories with them, that's awesome. But why the hell is New York Post saying buy Pepe coin? Now, that was on the 12th. So if we go and we take a little bit of a gander, right? If we go and we say Pepe, right? It's number 28 on the chart. So they said this on the 12th, which is about here. So I love meme coins too, because look at this. It's 0.0000125. but it's got a 4.58 billion. So obviously we've had the global conflict that like kicked off everything last night, and we just saw kind of a complete tear of the market. It's down 3.65% as a whole. Now, obviously, you got to take everything with a grain of salt because we've had obviously like a massive move within Bitcoin and cryptocurrency over the last like month plus. Wait, it's only up 2% in the last. Well, I guess it'd be way up more from that. But I mean, from a year ago, up 57%. But again, when you expand, it's funny. When you expand your horizons just a little bit, it doesn't look as bad in that regard. But we did see a huge takeoff of the market due to that. Singapore-based Trident Digital plans to raise $500 million to establish the world's first large-scale corporate XRP reserve, involving long-term XRP holders staking in deep engagement in the Ripple ecosystem to strengthen its decentralized finance strategy. So we have the Pengu ETF and the Pudgy Penguin NFT ETF that's allegedly coming at some point. Again, that was a couple months ago that announcement happened. Usually it doesn't happen whenever the announcement happens, but then, over time, seeing all these ones with Bitcoin, we're seeing a lot more around Ethereum, and now we're starting to see the trickle-down effect where XRP is getting mentioned. We have seen Solana as well, but I feel like we haven't really seen much of an uptick within Solana itself regarding the ETF, so maybe the market's a little bit mute. Again, a lot of people just focusing on the Bitcoin aspect of things, but okay, so Lord talks about their hack, and as I always say, let's always go through it to see what could have been prevented or what we can be aware of, because we always need to, be at the top of my mind. So here's the deal. My Coinbase got hacked today. My MetaMask appears to be safe, but pretty much everything I have outside of my Mutant Ape Yacht Club is gone. I am, in fact, never going to financially recover from this. That sucks. Yes, it was a phone call. Oddly enough, here's how it happened. Got a call from an American claiming to be support. I asked them a series of questions and it all seemed legit. They told me my account was compromised and needed verification. They sent to my phone what I can best describe as a push notification. That notification had 3 numbers to choose from. Over the phone, they verbally told me which one of those numbers to select, and that after the selection, I would receive an email with a code that I need to verbally tell them, which I feel like there's some concerns with this. Now, I haven't really had support from like anything. I'd say like in my life. It's like, hey, we need to give these codes. We need to send over there. Like, tell me what it is. Except maybe like when I was setting up my internet. But even then, like seems like there's a whole bunch of extra steps. I did that, received the email with the code, then recited the code back to them for verification. I had an unrelated question, but had to get off the phone. I told them I would call them back. When I called them back, the number was disconnected. That's when it hit me. I looked at my Coinbase and I was drained. I'll figure it out, but just want to warn others. Should have bought something else instead. Okay, so yeah, damn. We got to check out the phones. But yeah, I don't think a lot of these things would be calling you, and just be careful around everything to do within Web3. So here's a meme, but somebody says, crypto people usually say, I'll never reveal my personal information. Crypto is about privacy. And then a project's like, yo, we'll ship you a hoodie. And this is how those crypto bros respond.
My name is Walter Hartwell White. I live at 308 Negra Arroyo Lane, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87104.
It's so good. People are like, you know what, privacy, whatever, just ship me the goods. So we've talked about the Forgotten Rooniverse before, and I played their alpha, and the game is actually quite fun. It's pixelated like MMORPG. It's on the Ronin network, and why I'm bringing this up again right now is because I was scrolling along my feed, and I saw this, and it was weird because at the time, it didn't really have any notifications on there, and I'm like, generally speaking, Forgotten Rooniverse, whenever I've seen a post, there's like at minimum 10 to 15 engagements of sorts. Odd that there's only 2 likes on this. And then I looked at it and I noticed in the top right corner, you can't see it within this because it's bookmarked, I guess, but it was an ad. So I was like, generally speaking on X, the majority of ads have just been somebody giving like a political take. I keep seeing things about like the Toronto Maple Leafs and what they should do with Mitch Marner and the contract and everything. Like, why the hell is that an ad to me? The fact that somebody's out there wanting to pay to have their opinion shared is wild. I find it crazy. But that does kind of bode interestingly, I guess, to see that we are seeing a little bit more of advertisements about things that are going on within Web3. And that's cool. So to add to that, there was other news that came out from Valhalla Storms Twitch. Sorry, let me rephrase because I didn't realize those were two separate things. So Valhalla, which is something to do with real Floki, which is like a meme coin? Okay, so Valhalla storms Twitch with a 5-week ad blitz starting June 16th, targeting millions of metaverse gamers. Okay, so red card, first of all, because I don't think that we can just like flat out say like metaverse gamers is like the internet as a whole yet. I feel like there needs to be a narrative that is built around this to say, okay, we are just calling online experiences that, because metaverse, if we're going to go in like the dictionary right now, I feel like is very, very, very specific to just blockchain games in general, where on Twitch, yeah, that's not like the main audience. Most people that are consuming streaming on Twitch aren't really doing a whole lot within crypto games. Now, there's some of them for sure, but I don't know if we can say they're targeting millions of gamers by advertising on Twitch. So Real Floki is going all out for a launch of its official flagship play-to-earn metaverse game, Valhalla. A major 5-week video ad blitz is set to take place over Twitch starting June 16th. This move aims to push Valhalla into the hearts and screens of millions of gamers worldwide, just in time for the mainnet release on June 30th of 2025. So my mind keeps going to the fact of, all right, we've seen the likes of Off the Grid, which was a game that they had like Tim the Tapman, Ninja, all these, if you don't know who they are, they're like just really well-known first-person shooter streamers get attention for the game, and we saw it get the attention. Like it did a very, very good job of doing that, and it was the talk of the town, and people had the questions, myself included, of like, okay, like are they going to end up keeping a player base? Is this kind of like a one-hit wonder? And it seems like they've done pretty decently from this. So if Valhalla also finds that, okay, the success of advertising on Twitch as well, what is now the trickle effect? Do we then see Forgotten Runes? Do we see everybody else? What do we kind of see as the big changing over on Twitch? Coinbase partners with American Express to launch the Coinbase One card, offering up to 4% back in Bitcoin on all purchases. Wow. 4%, and it's in Bitcoin. That's going to shake things up. You see the headline? We talked I feel like yesterday we did like half the stream talking about stablecoins. And of course, on the RW Segments podcast, we have the episode this week was heavily talking about stablecoins. But check this headline out. Walmart and Amazon are exploring issuing their own stablecoins. Everybody is doing that. Now I'm trying to, how do you be a thought leader of something? What do you give like an analysis or something on this, right? And the thing that I instantly think about is, does this just make people completely view currencies differently? Because everybody's down, for the most part, with, okay, most of these shops and whatnot are cashless now. Or maybe not most, but a good majority of them are. Or they at least offer digital payments, and a lot of people just straight up don't carry cash anymore. So we're already down with the digital goods. But when you look in your bank account and see, okay, cool, I don't got anything in there, or okay, we got a little bit in there. It makes a difference when that number goes down, because you're like, okay, that's legit. That's what I've like noticed. But for a lot of people, as we've used the term fake internet money, for Ethereum, for the other cryptocurrencies that we've used on a daily basis, buying NFTs for thousands, hundreds of dollars, whatever it is, we have a different perspective on it. And we don't value it as much as we do for the money that's in our bank account, I think. Maybe you do. But if everybody's issuing these different stable coins of sorts, does it just kind of completely give a different perspective for everybody about, oh, you know what? This is my Walmart money. This is my Amazon money, whatever. We can spend even more of it, and you don't feel as attached to it or care as much. We're going to end Friday with a crazy clip coming out of China. Take a listen.
Well, if Bitcoin will become the ultimate type of a form of the currency been adopted by human society, I can tell exactly what's going to happen as the worst scenario or the must scenario. We're all going to die.
We're all going to die. What an absolute unbelievable thing to hear on a newscast. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you so much for coming on through. I hope you've enjoyed this week. Again, go back, listen to the different ones throughout the week, and you can see day to day, we got different news stories, different things happening. But again, this week, it's felt like the entire news cycle has been around stable coins. That's it for me. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk soon. Peace.